That's not bad. West-southwest winds at 11 miles an hour. And mostly sunny, except for now where it's mostly cloudy. The umpires today behind the plate: Brian Knight at first base, Randy Marsh, Mike Winters at second, Lance Barksdale at third. And what Brian Knight is telling both benches is that you can blow into your hand on the mound and you won't be charged a ball. He just made that motion to Ozzie Guillen and Ron Washington. And so I'll turn it over for the first pitch to my play-by-play partner on this Mother's Day, Hawk Harrelson.
All right, Stone Pony, thank you. And the first pitch of the ball game to Kinsler is taken, ball one. And once again, indeed, a very happy Mother's Day to each and all out there. Make it a safe one, a reflective one, and a loving one. 2-0 the count. Kinsler comes in hitting at .320, 9 homers. He's driven in 28. 3 of those 28 coming in this series right here, as the count goes to 3-0. No walks. This guy can steal a base. There's one. Make him swing the bat, which he can do that too. Evidenced by those 9 homers and 28 knocked in. Just underneath it. High into left center field. Carlos making the call. He's got the ball, and that's out number 1. So a nice comeback.
It's a good way to start it off, but you don't want to find yourself making a whole lot of 3-0, 3-1 pitches. But keeping Kinsler off base is the only way to stop his running game.
Rangers come in hitting at .279 as a club with a 5.04 ERA. Texas 8-8 on the road. So here's the 42-year-old veteran Omar Vizquel as he takes the strike. Vizquel hitting an even .400. 3 for 9 in this series with 2 RBIs. And the count 0-2. And here at beautiful U.S. Cellular Field, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straightaway center.
Well, Vizquel's always hit Cologne pretty well. So hopefully today will be just the opposite, but he comes in hitting .500 against him, and he's had Bartolo's number.
7 for 14. Seems a little strange that he gone. Seems a little strange he's only faced him 14 times.
You would think there would be more, but they were teammates.
A long time they were teammates.
There's a good high fastball out away. In fact, we saw Vizquel pull one of those in the first game of the series, but not that time. And once again, Michael Young, their real talented third baseman, not in the lineup. Obviously, that back is still not 100%.
So here's the first of the pink bats this afternoon in the hands of Marlon Byrd, who takes strike 1. Byrd hitting at .320, a couple of homers. He's driven in 16. One and one to count. Off to the left side. Got him on the fist. And the count 1-2. This is the 6th and final meeting of the year between these two clubs. Here it is, May 10th.
That's somewhat amazing. But when they get Josh Hamilton back, and he's going to be back on Tuesday, there's not going to be a lot of teams like to face this lineup.
Jets sucks it up. Nice inning for Bartolo Colon. Starts off with a 3-0 count to Kinsler. Come back and get him. 1-2-3 after a half inning of play as Texas nothing, and the good guys coming to bat.
Chris Getz leading it off with Brent Lillibridge hitting second. Carlos Quentin hitting third. Jermaine Dye, then Jim Thome, Paul Konerko, Wilson Betterman, Lexi Ramirez hitting eighth, and Corky Miller hitting ninth, getting not behind the plate. The Lowe's defensive setup and how they'll line up is left to right. Murphy, Bird, and Cruz in the infield. Vizquel, Andrus, Kinsler, and Davis. Saltalamacchi behind the plate. And Vicente Padilla on the hill. You see that ERA a little bit higher than he would like, but last time out, brilliant against Seattle. He went 8 innings, gave him just 1 hit. He loves to pitch inside, and I think you can expect that today.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as Chris Getz will lead it off. First pitch of the ball game from Padilla. Padilla is a strike on the inside corner. Chris comes in hitting at 293. No homers. He's driven in 6. And the count 0-2.
You're going to be able to tell if Padilla's trusting his curveball, because when he's not, he throws a big looping curveball.
Sox come in hitting at 256 as a club with a 4.44 ERA. Sox are 8-7 here at home. And the count evens at 2.
He's thrown him 4 straight fastballs. And now if he's feeling good about his breaking ball, we're going to see it. And this is a guy that most people thought would be, and probably still will be, the ace of this staff.
There's a shank. Foul. Well, he's going to have to show me he's better than Kevin Millwood.
Well, Millwood is a real dependable pitcher, as we saw last night.
That's high. Chris Davis, the first baseman, makes the catch. 1 out.
But Hawk, it's really interesting because sometimes you have a ballpark where you just don't win, and Millwood, as good as he's been, and he's been very good.
Very good.
Just 1 win in this ballpark, and last night was his 10th start here.
When he was in that Cleveland uniform, he came in here and he got beat. We beat him, I think, 3 times 1 year. And 1 game we got 3 runs off of it.
Well, he'd lead the league in ERA and wind up with a losing record.
I mean, is that ball hit deep into right center field? Marlon Byrd back now on the track, right in front of the patio area. That's the Bertucci boys' realm. And that's out number 2. And with 2 down, let's check out our picks to click this afternoon. Jim Angio, our Hall of Fame director, and the crew, well, they went with Getz. Lisa, Larry, and Steve, they're going to go with Wilson Betterman. And all the mothers out there, on your day, we're going to go with Corky Miller, the Corkaroo.
You're pulling away from us with rapid dispatch.
There's a shot right. That's a hang. Another hang whiffle for Carlos Quentin. Man, if he didn't have any bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. Meanwhile, no score. to face Bartolo Colon. Blaylock, the DH this afternoon, hitting at .248, 7 homers. He's driven in 19. Takes ball 1. And of course, for those of you who are not aware of what is going on with the pink bats and the pink wristbands, it's Mother's Day and is going to bat against breast cancer, as we do each and every year. We got a shift on. Pretty good pitch right there. Didn't get it. Outfield about equidistant, slightly to the left. They're spread out. That ball's high and deep. Remain back, and it is 1-0 Rangers. Number 8 for Blaylock.
There's nothing wrong with Blaylock's power. He's always had that. And now that he's the DH, he has to learn how to adjust. And talking with Ron Washington, he said it's not a natural adjustment to be playing every day and suddenly find yourself as a designated hitter. But you see where that one was? That was letter high, not a whole lot on it. And Blaylock hit a towering home run.
Here's Nelson Cruz. Cruz 1 for 9 in the series. And he's got a 2-0 count. And Major League Baseball and all the clubs are partnering with the Susan G. Komen for the Cure of Going to Bat Against Breast Cancer program. As Betterman. There's one, Steve.
That's it. Ranging far to his left to make that play. You probably can't tell that he's my pick to click. And we do count defensive points.
So here is David Murphy hitting it .185, a homer. He's driven in 6. But the mission is to raise awareness about breast cancer, as there's a strike, and inform about early detection while also raising funds to support breast cancer research. Oh, and 2 the count.
You keep the ball up on Murphy and you're going to be in pretty good shape. He, unlike Blaylock, likes the ball down.
One-two pitch. Softly hit. And one of the things about the awareness program is that the 5-year survival rate for breast cancer, when caught early before it spreads beyond the breast, is now 98%, as opposed to 74% back in 1982.
And we're at the point now where breast cancer has certainly touched either someone you know or someone in your family. And again, like anything else, early detection is the best way.
Chris Davis hitting at .210, 7 homers. He's driven in 14. 23-year-old first baseman. And he's got a 2-0 count. Don't want to mess around too much with this ball club on 2-0-3-1.
They've got some thunder in this lineup.
Saltalamacchia on deck, as here's the 2-1.
Davis is another guy that doesn't hit the high fastball because he has a classic uppercut swing. They got a youngster by the name of Justin Smoke, a former #1 draft choice, who is crushing the ball down in the minor leagues.
Watch out. That'll stay in here. And he gone. But the home run by Hank Blaylock. It is 1-0 Rangers. And our Sox are in Cleveland for a divisional matchup with the Indians in the 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet Plus. The Cubs battle the San Diego Padres. It's another big night of action beginning Tuesday night at 6 right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
And if you missed the game last night, with Ian Kinsler up, Bobby Jenks threw the ball behind him, and there was a warning issued to both teams. Now, I checked today to see if this game has started under a warning, especially with Padilla's history against the Sox, and the answer was no. The umpires have not warned him. And as if on cue, he throws one under the chin of Jermaine Dodd.
Well, Padilla, you might recall, for the Sox fans out there, is the guy that 2 times in a row, first 2 at-bats a couple of years ago down in Texas, drilled A.J. right in the back twice. If he hits somebody today, something's going to be done. I can tell you that right now.
It's actually a whole lot easier in this league to hit somebody when you don't have to bat.
That's the whole thing.
That's
the whole thing. There are a lot of guys that are, have a lot of bravado on the phone.
Yes.
A lot of them when they don't have to go to bat. 3-1 pitch. And that's ball 4.
Well, that was a slider. And Carlos gets hit by a lot of people. And that one went behind Kinsler, and that was the warning issued by Lance Barksdale. That brought an immediate response from Ozzie. He came out and just questioned the timing of the warning and why then. We'll see if quiet prevails today.
Way back. Stay fair. Stay fair. Dadgummit.
Jimmy hit that ball 8 miles, but unfortunately he got out a little too quickly. It was fair a long time before finally hooking foul. That's a low inside fastball. And if you throw Tommy down there, you've got some big problems, but unfortunately it hooked.
One and one to count. And that's off the corner. 2 balls and a strike.
And you've yet to see the Padilla curveball, and that's somewhat surprising. That time he threw a little bit of a change, kept it away. Jimmy's pretty good on Mother's Day.
So, Jermaine Dye at first, nobody out, and the 2-1 pitch. Three and 1. Canerco on deck.
Well, Padilla came in with a couple of wild pitches, and he's given up 4 home runs and now 35 and 2/3 innings of work. It's not unusual to give up a lot of home runs if you're going to be a pitcher for Texas, because it's a very lively park down there.
There's a flipper, and that's ball 4, so he walks the first 2 men here in the second. Don't let him off the hook.
And he usually doesn't throw that as a pitch of decision. He usually throws that early in the count. That time he just lollipopped it up there, and it came over the head of Jim Thome. So that wasn't even tempting to swing at. Now Sal Tulamacchia going out to talk with Padilla and try to settle him down. So far the Sox haven't had to hit the ball.
So here's Pauly. Pauly 4 for 13 lifetime against Padilla. Pauly comes in hitting at .302, 3 homers. He's driven in 21. Bit of a gap out there in left center. On an incident last night, there was some conversation that Lance Barksdale had said that they had a tip from MLB.
And the tip was with 2 outs in the 9th inning, they might throw at somebody?
As I said, we get 2 guys hit. Nothing happens. His air is good rip just underneath it. We don't hit anybody, we get the warning.
I was going to say, if they got that kind of tip, that was a really specific tip.
That was the blue play special, huh?
I want to get that evaluator over here.
Yeah, you can get those every other minute at the track. The 0-2 pitch. Long set by Padilla.
Padilla came up originally with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was there parts of a couple of years. And then he made his way to Philadelphia, where he was there for quite a while. Year 2000 through 2005 before moving to Texas. It was 15-10 in 06. That was a pretty solid year. 14-8 last year, another solid year.
Ouch. Ouch. That hurt from up here.
Paul does this a lot. And even with that shin guard on, this can't feel good. It hit him right in the middle of the shin guard, but you can only imagine the damage done if he doesn't have that on.
Yeah, I've seen him take out blood clots from shins like that, as big as a quarter.
No, that's not a real good thing. And unfortunately, he's going to be okay. But just as fortunately, it's not going to hurt his running game.
1-2. 2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Curveball. Well, he's only thrown 2 of them, and from up here, of course, it's a different angle than obviously we have in the hitter. Up here, you can see it all the way.
Well, that one was a hard curveball, and that's the one that he tries to use to wipe out hitters. It's unusual that he's going to that in the first pressure situation and not establishing it a little more early in the game.
Shot right to the shortstop. And this is an easy rack 'em up right here. Well, nothing Paulie can do about that. All you can do is hit it hard. He did that. Meanwhile, 2 out.
On the 2-2 count, Padilla throws a sinker, and it's a good one. And if you're unlucky, it goes right at the shortstop, and then it's pretty easy after that. So now Wilson's got to pick him up. You got first and second, nobody out. You find yourself with a runner at third now, but 2 out.
That's the 33rd double play turn by the Rangers. We've turned 18. So here's Betterman. Breaking ball inside, high. Betterman hitting at 310. Ball gets away, and this game is tied at 1. Thank you very much. So the base on balls comes around and jumps up and bites him right in the behind.
Well, we talked about the fact that he had 2 wild pitches coming into this game. And now he leads the staff with 3 wild pitches. That looked like a changeup, and it got away from Saltalamacchia.
Outfield slightly to the left, about equidistant. And there's the strike. 2-1 to count.
You know, Wilson forced him into that mistake. He's trying to be very careful.
There is a whole bunch of those guys that are now employed. Those lobbyists.
Those lobbyists, it's true.
Here's the 2-2. Oh, hit hard, but foul. Sox will conclude this game, this series, this homestand, this brief 5-game homestand. Board our charter, head on over to Cleveland this afternoon to start that 3-game set and that 7-game road trip tomorrow night. Tomorrow night it'll be Gavin Floyd against Carl Pavano. And that game will be over at WCIU Channel 26. On Tuesday, Mark Burley against Jeremy Sowers, and that game right back here on Comcast Sportsnet. And in the finale, for us, it'll be to be announced against Cliff Lee in that game also right here on Comcast Sportsnet. High pop-up, Elvis. Now being called off by Marlin. Makes the catch, but the Sox pick up a run without the benefit of a hit. We'll go to the third, tied at 1.
Their pitching staff a little short though.
Comcast has more HD than anyone in bundles to fit your needs. Watch local programming on demand. Comcast has the bundle for you. Call 1-888-4BEST-TV. Jared Saltalamacchia takes ball 1.
He's a switch hitter, and a big one at that, who's been better from the right side this year.
And another 2-0 count. That's fouled back. Saltalamacchia, just 23 years old. In fact, Chris Davis, first baseman, 23. Saltalamacchia, 23. On deck hitter Elvis Andrus, 20. Kinsler, 25.
And they've got a stacked farm system.
Well, they should have. They've certainly been in position to make some
when you're drafting up there,
choices.
You should do a pretty good job of it, but it doesn't always work out that way.
No, it doesn't. Softly hit right there, but he's busting it down the line. 1 out.
Well, both Saltalamacchia and Andrus came over in the deal that sent Mark Teixeira to Atlanta, and because Atlanta couldn't sign Teixeira, and he went on for $181 million to the New York Yankees, the Rangers made out like bandits in that one. They were trading today for a whole lot of tomorrow, and for them tomorrow's here because they're both in the big leagues.
Andrus fakes the bunt, takes the strike as Wilson Betterman charging in.
By the way, in that deal, Matt Harrison also came over from Atlanta, so they did a good job of that one.
0-2. He gone, bullseye.
Bartolo throws that fastball that comes back over the outside part of the plate. You see where Corky sets up? That ball just drifts back over the plate. When you're 20 and haven't established the fact that you have a good eye yet, get called out on those consistently.
So here's Kinsler. He went out to Carlos Quentin in left center field. Stops that one foul. And while we have a moment, I want to sound a big White Sox congratulations. Happy birthday to Richie Moon. One of Benny Fesso's right-hand guys.
I've got the same note.
You do. 21 years.
Do you remember
young.
when you were 21?
No.
Well, Richard's from Bridgeport.
I think when I was 21, I started off the season that year in Kansas City 0 for 31.
Fortunately, things got better for you.
That's hit to the right side. Nice inning for Bartolo. 1, 2, 3. He's retired the last 6 and 9 out of 10, and we are tied at 1.
The Aflac trivia question: who were the last 3 White Sox to hit home runs on Mother's Day? There's a puzzler.
Alexei Ramirez, Corky Miller, and Chris Getz here in the bottom of the 3rd in this 1-1 tie. First pitch hunting, and 1 pitch, 1 out. So that'll bring up the catcher this afternoon, the Corkaroo.
If you're going to be a backup catcher, you've got to keep your rhythm both defensively and offensively, and it's tough to keep a stroke when you just don't pinch hit very much, and when you're getting a chance to play maybe every 5 days, maybe sometimes every 7 days. This is a tough job, but if you can do it well, you can stay around this game for a long time.
Vizquel, 2 down. You know, if you notice over the years that most of the backup catchers are very similar in personalities, very similar in demeanor. You get some exceptions, but most of them sort of quiet.
Well, they were all at one point starters, Hawk, and now they've have to resign to the fact that they're going to play every now and then. And I understand what you mean, because if you're always chomping at the bit to get in there, you can't really do that job.
Very difficult. That's a tough, one of the toughest jobs in baseball. Not the, but one of.
First of all, you're consistently warming up pitchers, so you have a left hand the size of a lobster most of the time.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Want it inside.
Well, the one thing Padilla's done is given away the hole card that he has against Chris Getz. Getz, by this point, knows that when Padilla has to get him out, he's going to come inside. And usually you don't like to do that with 2 outs in an inning and nobody on, or do it when it's not a critical situation, because if he comes up against you later and you've shown him how you want to get him out, usually it works out real well for the hitter.
Little soft comebacker, and this is a 1-2-3 inning for him. He's done that 2 out of the 3 innings. Day here at U.S. Cellular Field, and wherever you are, hopefully you have the opportunity to give your mom a big hug and a kiss and say, you know, Mom, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Omar fouls it back.
Kind of surprised that Omar hasn't tried to bunt yet, but he's had such good numbers lifetime against Cologne that you would expect that he believes he's going to see a hittable fastball.
Well, he saw a couple of them in that first at bat and he struck out. The last one was up high, and that one's down low. 2-1. That's softly hit. Chris Getz. That's the 5th ground ball he has had already.
Don't miss your chance to get the best seats available for the May matchups against the Twins, the 19th through the 21st, and the Pirates, the 22nd through the 24th. To purchase your individual game tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com.
Marlon Byrd. He grounded out to Getz in the first inning.
Hey, hot dog,
that ball smashed. Look at the pick by Wilson and a bad throw.
Goes as E5 because Wilson did have some time once he picked it. I mean, this part of it's a real good play. Short hop to the backhand, takes a look at it, and then airmails Paulie at first. Fortunately, that ball doesn't go into the dugout or the seats, so the double play is still in order.
Wilson, pick it.
He picked it.
Blaylock hit a high, towering home run. His 8th of the year. He now has 20 RBIs.
Bird 1 for 1 in stolen bases, but normally he is not what you'd call a stolen base threat. That's normally.
And that's outside. Picked up his first stolen base last night. Blaylock. Souvenir left side.
Blaylock was a third baseman, and then he became a first baseman. And as a few of the younger players started to come up to the major leagues, and he got hurt, he's been forced into the designated hitter role most of the time.
Turns that one over. And a count 2-1. Well,
that's some pretty big numbers early in his career, Bob.
Well, you know, he's 28 years old, and this is his 7th year in the big leagues.
Well, if Bartolo can sink that ball away from Blaylock, who is normally a dead pull hitter, especially on the ground, we're probably going to be able to turn a pair.
There's a huge hole between Bartolo and Getz. That's up high, 3-1.
He made the mistake last time. He got one up to Blaylock, who hit it out.
Outfield about equidistant, spread out a little bit and slightly to the left. Betterman way off the line. He's over there in the shortstop position as Blaylock chases ball 4.
See Ramirez playing right up the middle. But there is that hole. The defensive charts say that if Blaylock hits it on the ground, he's going to pull it. That's one of the reasons why Getz is playing in the hole.
Just a decent lead by. There he goes. And it's academic. So the first walk issued by Bartolo, and that'll bring up Nelson Cruz, who grounded out to Betterman. So the throwing error has got Bartolo in a bit of a jam here in this 1-1 tie, top of the 4th inning. Takes ball 1. And ball 2. He has had a lot of 2-0 counts already in this game.
And the pitches are starting to pile up for him, but he's facing some very good hitters and having to make too many 2-0, 3-1 pitches.
Well, that's just a matter of time before it catches up to you. There he made a good pitch location-wise on the 2-0 count.
Cruz has looked in this series like he's trying to pull everything. Contreras got him on sliders. He struck out 4 times that night. And the one double he has had was yanked down the third base line.
Yeah, that was an 0-2 fastball down and in from Banks. And it counts 3-1. Outfield, bit of a gap out there in left center. And Cruz can't get that one, so a full count with one down. Bird at second and Blaylock at first.
Bartolo doesn't have his real good fastball today. I mean, that fastball is 88 miles an hour, which in the strike zone is real dangerous. That ball was up and out of the zone.
And the payoff pitch. That's popped up right side. That's playable. Two down.
Good comeback by Cologne. And this one up and on the inner portion. You see that Nelson Cruz can't get his hands out. He thought maybe that ball was fouled into the seats. But by the time he picked it up, that ball was nestling into Paulie's glove.
So here's Murphy. He also grounded out to Getz. That's high and deep into right center field. Lillibridge back on the track. He is there. Reaches up, hauls it in. Murphy thought he got it. He did not. And that'll retire the side. We go to the bottom of the fourth, tied at 1.
The answer is Jim Thome, Jermaine Dye, and A.J. Pierzynski. All on the same day, May 14th of 06, when the Sox beat Minnesota.
Brent Lillibridge fakes the bunt, takes the ball up high.
You'd like to see him keep the ball out of the air. He did hit the ball very hard in the first inning, but it's just a long fly out.
That's in the air in the seats. One and one to count. .31-year-old right-hander Vicente Padilla out of Nicaragua.
He's kept his pitches to a minimum so far. He really has good stuff, and he hasn't shown the curveball yet. He's thrown one soft curve, one hard curve, not getting either over the plate. When he does that, you can understand why he gave up just one hit against Seattle last time out in 8 innings, and so far has held the Sox hitless today.
That's up high. Full count.
He's got that fastball now where he can sit, and that's at 94, 95. He prefers pitching at around 91, but occasionally he can reach back and get a little something extra.
Outfielder round to the right. Ball 4, base hit right here. Okay. Tapper. Dia gets it very quickly, transfers it, makes the nice throw. 1 out.
After line drives and pop-ups in the first inning, it's been all ground balls since. The last 5 outs recorded on ground outs. And Padilla got to that ball, took his time, even though he knew a fast guy was going up the line. Hit a good solid throw, and you can see this will be his 46th pitch.
Here's Carlos. He hit a screaming Mimi right to the first baseman, Chris Davis.
It was back when you played with Wee Willie Keeler. He used to say, hit them where they ain't.
That was what he said every day. You come in the clubhouse, Hawk, dadgummit, hit them where they ain't, boy.
Been a man playing there for many years. Hit it around him or over it.
He said, that guy's been standing there for 18 years.
Flyouts came early, and the ground balls have come as Padilla's starting to get some sink on that fastball.
And the count 3-0 with Jermaine Dye on deck.
I don't know how often Ozzie gives Carlos Quinn the 3-0 green light, but this would be a real good time for it.
Outfield around to the left. Taking all the way.
Well, that was a high fastball. That one was center cut, and he took a little something off to get it over.
That ball hit hard. Stretch. It's off the top of the fence. Now Carlos is going to pull up at second as Bird did a good job to get back to it, recover it, and get it in. Well, you can cancel the post-game show.
Well, that ball bounced away from Marlon Byrd, and it looked like it was going to be 3 bases. Carlos hit it right on the screws. See what Bird got trapped too close to the wall. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't a triple, but he did get to it quickly. It got by Andrus, but Kinsler was backing up. And so that's the go-ahead run out at second base.
Jermaine at the plate. He walked to lead off the second and came around to score on a wild pitch. Off speed, strike 1. That's inside. Talking with Vince Fresso, our clubhouse guy, the other day about the price of bats and why they have gone up so much. Ash bats last year were $63. They're now $95. And he said one of the reasons being is the fact that all the testing that Major League Baseball has required Louisville Slugger to do is the reason. Because that's chop, 2 hop, the scale, 2 down.
You're talking about the testing on why the bats are shattering and why they're pinwheeling into the seats?
Yeah. So so they raised him up. I mean, that's a huge increase from 63 to 95. And also, he was talking about how the guy who breaks the fewest bats by far on our team is Jermaine Dyer. By far, he said. Here's Tomey. He also walked back in the second. That pitch almost took his part of his left leg off. They got the shift on. Change up high. Konerko on deck. So we're going to see what Padilla, how he feels about this situation with first base open.
As long as Jim Tomey hit the ball last time up and it was foul, I would think with first base open he would be very careful with it.
That's up high, 3-0. Turn him loose. Well, he's had good luck against Tomey. Just 1 for 7.
Well, you know that Jim's got the green light here, and there is a huge gap in left center field. Figure Padilla's got to stay away or just go well in off the plate.
And didn't even give him a chance right there.
Yeah, that was a pitch around from the first pitch.
Didn't use the Stan Williams method, huh?
Get 3-0 and hit him so you keep your walks down?
No, in that situation, just drill him with the first pitch.
So you keep your pitches down?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, the one guy that you don't want to run on, or if you do run, you better get a good secondary lead, is Nelson Cruz in right field. You can run on Murphy, you can run on Bird.
Paulie hit the ball right on the money, right to the shortstop for a double play. Nothing he could do about that. Scalded.
Pretty impressive numbers with runners in scoring position. You're hitting at 423. You're getting the job done.
Thank goodness he got off to a good start. And that's a fair ball. Down to Vizquel. Very quickly over to Kinsler. They force Tomey, and that'll retire the side. We'll go to the fifth. Still 1-1. 1-1-0 for the Rangers. 1-1-1 for our Sox here in the top of the 5th inning. It'll be the lower third of their order. It'll be Davis, Saltalamacchia, and Andrus. Davis struck out. One of 3 registered thus far by Bartolo.
I talked to Ron Washington about his team in spring training, and did he feel with some of the injuries that the Angels had suffered that they had a good chance to win.
That's high, deep, and gone. It is 2-1.
And that's one of the reasons why he said, I think we've got a good chance to win regardless of what the Angels do. And Davis got one down to his liking and hit it out.
Yeah, this young man has got a chance to be a monster.
It's all a question of location. You see, that ball was just above the knees on the inner portion of the plate. Corky Miller wanted it away. And down and in, especially knee to thigh high to left-handers, not too good.
That is the 64th pitch thrown by Bartolo, 62 of which have stayed in the park. Going to the count to Saltalamacchia. Just fights that one off.
Saltalamacchia was the pride and joy of the Braves organization. In fact, they have Brian McCann, who's had some eye problems after some LASIK surgery, but he's going to be their #1 catcher for a long time. They were thinking about first base for Saltalamacchia, but then they got Kochman, and that made him expendable, and they used him as one of the guys that got him to share it.
Just off the corner. He gone.
Some high heat up and out of the zone. And if you get ahead of hitters, this is what you can do. Left-handers won't catch up there.
Talking about Casey Kochman, if he doesn't hit, he's going to prove a lot of guys wrong, including me.
He's got a chance to be a terrific hitter. You just wonder if in the National League he can give you the kind of power you need at a corner position.
Well, I'm not talking so much. I just think he could be a guy who could hit you. 320, 330. A lot of gaps. 15, 20 home runs. As Andrus fouls that back, he struck out. He was called out on a fastball right down the middle.
One of the things that got going against him in that ballpark, at least in Atlanta, is it's a great pitcher's park.
Oh, yeah.
So with his swing, if he starts to get power conscious, that batting average is going to go down. But I agree with you. Watching him with the Angels, you figured that he would eventually be a really good average hitter.
Yeah. It's up high. One out, the 1-2. Just off the corner.
Tried to bring that tailing fastball back over the outside corner and didn't get the benefit of the call. Well, you can understand why. It is off the outside corner. Corky tried to ease it back.
Later on this afternoon, Kansas City taking on the Angels in Anaheim. Anaheim won that game last night 1-0. Jermaine, watch out.
Well, Jermaine went as far into the seats as he could, but that was not quite far enough. And the Angels are starting to get things together. They trailed this Texas team by a half game.
Guerrero's still out.
Yeah, when they get everything, all the pieces back, they're going to be pretty tough. And they've got to get their pitching situation settled, especially in the closer.
Pretty good pitch right there. Bartolo just turns it back. He wanted that one from Brian Knight. Did not get it.
Corky sets up outside. Normally it's close enough, and all pitchers want that one.
So the 3-2 pitch just smokes it right back through the middle. So good speed aboard. He is 3 for 3 in stolen bases.
Well, I would say Corky better loosen up that shoulder a touch, because he's going to be throwing in this situation.
You get the leadoff hitter now at the plate, and Ian Kinsler, who's gone out to Quinton and bounced to his counterpart, Chris Getz. And Andrus with a good lead. Now, we saw this happen last night a couple of times. He was on first base, Kinsler at the plate, and they paid a lot of attention to Andrus, and it just really pretty noticeable that Kinsler didn't like it.
Well, let's hope he likes it less here today. He's very much a rhythm hitter. He would prefer the pitcher just come right at him, Mark Burley-ish.
There's a bunch. It's a good one. You're going to have to stick it in your pocket. Well, that's one way to take care of that situation.
He did this same thing with runners at first and third, drove home the run, moved the runner to first into scoring position, and came away with a sacrifice. So there's not a whole lot that this young man can't do, and that's a really smart play.
So the strikeout that Bartolo thought he had of Andrus, Bartolo now sees Elvis at second base and Kinsler at first. And here is a tough cookie, Omar Vizquel. He is struck out and grounded to second. Well, you don't see Bartolo do that very often. Turn around
and
show up the
show
umpire.
his disdain for that call.
Yeah. Line drive, fair ball, just out of the reach of Konerko. So that guy that he thought he had struck out comes around to score on the double by Vizquel, and it's a 3-1 Texas lead.
Vizquel has always hit Cologne, and this is no exception. That ball fair by a wide margin. RBI number 6 for Vizquel. He's gotten a chance in this series because of the stiff back problems of Michael Young to play probably a little bit more than he thought he was going to in successive games.
Here's Marlon Byrd, is grounded to second and reached on an error, throwing error by Wilson Betterman. Can't get it upstairs. Big situation right here. Bartolo's got to have an out.
Preferably one that doesn't leave the infield.
Three 5-0 for the Rangers. 1-1-1 for our Sox.
Marlon Byrd in the exact same situation as Paul Konerko as far as hitting with runners in scoring position. They both came in hitting .423.
And the count 2-1. Big gap out there in left center. Trying to nail that outside corner. Blaylock on deck as you look at Clayton Richard. Very quickly starting to loosen up.
Well, Ozzie indicated that Clayton Richard would probably get that start that Contreras was supposed to get.
Full count.
And Contreras can throw out of the bullpen, and then Clayton would move into that Wednesday start, I believe, against the Indians.
Well, we'll see, chicken or the egg, so to speak, in that situation. Clayton's been doing such a good job out of the bullpen. And you want to try to do everything you can to protect that bullpen if you got all the pegs in the right holes. And that's ball 4, so that'd load him up. He was the guy you wanted to get and maybe go around this guy who's walking to the plate right now, Hank Blaylock.
Well, here comes Don Cooper, and the bullpen has started to work.
But that's the thing about it, Stevie, is when you get that bullpen, it's a battle of bullpens today. Now, whoever wins the American League Central is going to be the team that has the best bullpen in August and September. That's who's going to win it. If you hadn't blown yourself out before that, but that's who's going to win it.
Well, right now, when you take a look at the starting pitchers and you realize how good the guys have been for Kansas City, Greinke takes the game deep. Mesh normally takes the game deep, although he threw 120 pitches in just over 5 innings the other day. Bannister has been throwing pretty well. Even Sidney Ponson is throwing surprisingly well because they didn't figure they'd get a whole lot out of him, but you don't know if that's going to continue. But it's that kind of starting pitching that helps keep a bullpen healthy.
Kyle Davies is also.
Yeah, and he's done a nice job for him.
So we have 2 in here in the top of the 5th. 1 out, sacks packed with Texans. And here's Blaylock, who has homered and walked. Want to know the count.
Well, you'd love to see him turn one over and keep it low and away to Hank Blaylock, who's a mighty tough hitter.
And the count 2-0. Hank Blaylock has got the definitive catbird seat. And he pops him up. Thank you very much. As Carlos now coming on, makes the catch. He'll get it back in. Kinsler's not going anywhere, and that is out number 2.
If Bartolo gets out of this, this could turn out to be one of the biggest pitches of the game. That was out away from Blaylock. He caught it off the end of the bat, and nobody moved up even as much as a foot.
Can't let up. Here's Nelson Cruz. He's grounded to third and popped up to Canerco. Well, we saw what happened last year when Bobby Jenks went down and had to move guys around and move them up in the bullpen, and things just fell apart there for a while. Fortunately, this club had enough character to come back and win the division. That ball is just a hard strike. The count evens at 1, but
well, the World Championship year, Hawk, was the most amazing I had ever seen. I don't think we'll ever see it again. The team wins the World Series and has 3 different closers.
Shingo Takatsu, Hermanson, and then a rookie coming out of Birmingham.
Coming out of nowhere. He's the man on the mound when you nail him down. Not a bad idea.
1-1. Big hack.
Of course, the pitching that year in the World Series was something, again, I'm not sure we're going to see the likes of that again.
I don't think you're ever going to see 4 consecutive complete games again. First of all, you got to have the manager that will allow it.
It's true.
But right here, the 1-2. Little further down, he would have been like a smallmouth bass biting at that one.
Well, if Bartolo can do anything to cut this ball away from Cruz, he's going to get it. Keep it away just with a touch of movement. As he looks like he's trying to pull everything right now.
2-2 pitch. Close.
Now this ball is not coming back. In other starts, we've seen that ball with more movement and it comes back over the corner. That one stayed outside.
Two outs, Sox pack, payoff. Just got a piece of it. Once again, the 3-2. Way out. Didn't even come close. It is 4-1. Had him 1-2, and here comes Ozzie. So the second walk of the inning. And the big one of, I should say, the big hits in this inning was that bunt single by Kinsler. So that'll do it for Bartolo Colon. He departs, and we'll be back.
MLB.com, and $10 of your purchase will go to Susan G. Komen for the cure. Seen a lot of players using the pink bats today, and we'll see Clayton Richard coming into this one, and he's going to face Murphy, who is using the pink bat. So Richard, no record, ERA 4.41, on for the 12th time. He inherits the bases loaded and no margin for error.
Murphy has grounded to second and gone out deep on the track into deep right center. Got to make a play, can't do it. It is 5-1 as Vizquel scores.
Danny Murphy's pretty happy. He bounces it right off the plate. It's do or die, and Chris Getz can't get it there in time.
So that'll bring up the guy who started this inning off, Chris Davis. Started it off with his 8th homer. Five, 6-0 for the Rangers. 1-1-1 for our Sox. Takes it up high. And there's the strike. Boy, I tell you, one pitch in a ball game can be so big. So big. It is truly amazing what one pitch can do.
Well, you retire Andrus in that situation. You have 2 outs, nobody on. And then you're dealing with Kinsler, who probably is not going to bunt there. But would-haves and should-haves or could-haves.
Yep. There you see DJ. He just fights that one off. Count hangs at a ball and 2 strikes. That's something to this day that a lot of people cannot understand, how one pitch can turn the whole ball game around. Count hangs it 1-2 with 2 down. Zach's still packed.
Clayton's getting that fastball up there pretty well today. This is the time for the breaking ball.
Outfield playing in the pull. Comes back with another fastball up, fouls it back.
He tried to throw that high heat by him, but to no avail.
Well, it's easier for a right-hander to throw the high heat by him than it is the left-hander. 2-2.
It's a lot of pitches in 1 inning. This will be the 42nd, delivered by Cologne and now Richard.
And he swings at ball 3.
Don Cooper wants to know if Carrasco is ready.
Pokes it into center field, and Billy Bridges there makes the catch. But a crooked number, a big crooked number goes up on that board. One close pitch didn't get it. All right, Chuck Meister. Go Hawks. 3-2 lead. Coming home. Put them away. Ride them hard and put them away with.
Certainly don't want to make that flight back out there. That's number 1.
Well, if they do, they're going to win it anyway.
Number 2, yeah, but you don't want to give them any more life than you have to.
21 to count to Betterment.
Being a member of a team that was up 3-1 in the World Series, only to see it slip away. You can put them away, you got to do it.
So you have some vivid memories of a 3-1 lead, huh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh had run out of starters. They got Jim Rooker from out of their bullpen, and gave him 5, and wound up miraculously winning that 5th game. And then we had 6 and 7 back in our ballpark. Didn't do any good.
2-2. Rooker was dead straight too.
Well, at that point, he didn't have a whole lot left, and that's what made the performance even more important. Plus, it was win or go home as far as the Pirates were concerned. That was the We Are Family 1979 series.
2-2. It's full.
Let's see if we can get something going against a very tough right-hander, as Padilla has limited the Sox to just the Quentin double.
And that's ball 4. So leadoff walk after his team just gave him a 4 spot to take the lead.
Octavio Dotel and DJ Carrasco. And you figure if you score 3 or 4, you probably go to Dotel. If you don't score any, you go to Carrasco.
There's the young man we've got to get going. That pitch nicely. He's going to be fine. He's physically he's fine. He's just got a bad thought process going.
Well, Greg Walker talked about wrapping the bat early in the season. He's not doing that. He says his hand position's in good shape. Just has to get his confidence back. And just don't swing at what everybody throws up there.
Well, it's the longest 6 inches in sports.
We're talking about between the years?
Between the years.
Well, he's got everything you'd need to be successful, but you know, when you have a nose-to-toe strike zone, it makes things a lot more difficult. If he swings at strikes, he's going to hurt some people.
Well, you couldn't tell Kirby Puckett or Yogi Berra that. Big swing. Kirby Puckett, God rest his soul, was fun to watch, wasn't he?
Well, you're talking about 2 Hall of Famers and 2 of the greatest players around, so
Yeah, no.
that kind of talent doesn't come around too often.
No, they could hit it anywhere. Tip of the nose to the tip of the toes. Breaking ball right off the end of the bat. Takes his time, goes to second, and they're going to miss the double play.
With a 4-run lead, what Padilla did was make sure of 1. If he got 2, that's good, but you wanted to make sure of 1. So he was fairly deliberate as he went to second base with that throw.
Well, that's what being in between gets you right there. As we mentioned and have been talking about when Alexei was in there, when you're out in front of the breaking ball and you're late on the fastball, that is being in between. And that's where he's been living for the last, well, virtually almost all season long. And he started off slow last year, but he made some adjustments and got out of being in between. As Corky takes ball 1. He grounded out to Omar Vizquel at third. High pop up. Davis. 2 down. Well, is a rule, as a general rule in baseball, and it's been this way, I can attest to, for the last 50 years. I don't know. Wasn't before that.
Might have come in before then, but
no, this one couldn't. But Latin players have a much bigger strike zone than American guys.
Well, one of the things in the phrases you hear all the time, Hawk, because you have a lot of scouts down there and they're certainly opening up different areas, but the old saying was you can't walk off the island.
That's exactly right. That is.
You got to hit your way off the island.
You got to swing and hit your way off that island as there's a foul ball. And that's one reason that their strike zones are bigger. So if that, and it is the case, that being the case, when you have a bigger strike zone and you get out of whack mentally a little bit, it takes you longer to get back and to make those adjustments.
Well, the smaller the area you have to cover, the easier it is to cover.
That's it. That is it in a nutshell.
But, you know, when you're talking about Alexei and you're talking about being in between, and obviously I was never much of a hitter, but I do know that I never looked for the curveball because I couldn't hit it, and if he gives up the curveball, and he's got fast enough hands to never be late on the fastball.
That ball hit hard by Chris right to Marlon Byrd, and that'll retire the side. They score 4 in the top of the 5th. We score none. It is 5-1 Texans. Six 6-0 for the Rangers, 1-1-1 for us. And Steve Stone, former Cy Young Award winner, we've only been given one hit off Padilla.
Last time out, Padilla did the same thing to Seattle, gave them 1 hit in 8 innings. Today it's 1 hit through 5. Still, fortunately, a long way to go, but DJ Carrasco has got to hold him right there because there's a 4-run deficit, and Padilla's looking awfully sharp.
It'll be Saltalamacchia, Andrus, and Kinsler here in the top of the 6th. Sawed him off right there. Pink bat or not.
That's a broken pink bat.
Another $95. Well, no, that sounded like ash there. That one's just, let me check Vinny Fresso's price list here.
I think that's $63. But I got a deal for you.
Got a lot of deals, man, I tell you.
Carrasco on for the 12th time. No record with a 3.0 ERA. Last time out, he threw the ball real well.
There is the strike. Andrus caught a break last time. Not to say it was a definitive strike, but it was very, very close. Could have been called a strike. It was not. That made it, instead of strike 3, 3-2. Then he hit the little check swing. And 2 down. Then he hit the base hit. It started off them scoring 3 more runs. So that'll bring up Kinsler.
Last inning, about a 50-foot bunt. It was really the key to a 4-run uprising on the part of this Texas team.
Big hit. No, the Major League Ash bats now are $52.
Told you I had a bargain for you.
Maple bats are $95. I think if we broke a bat when I played years past, I know with Charlie Finley, I think at that time the bats cost $7 or $8 a piece, and if you broke one, he charged you $15.
You know, there are.
I'm talking about in anger.
There is shipping and in anger. I thought shipping and handling and all of those things.
A little crossfire right there. 2-2.
I think he crossed up Corky because Corky was looking for the breaking ball, got the express, and he caught it off the heel of the glove. That was a very awkward catch.
Changing some angles, gets Kinsler. And they get him. Probably good job keeping his toe in the bag. 1-2-3 for DJ. Good inning. And we'll go to the bottom of 6. We need 4 to tie. Schedule there you see after this ball game, it's off to Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio for that 3-game set. Then an off day in Toronto on Thursday, and then we have 4 games against the Blue Jays. The first one, a 6 o'clock Central start, and then the last 3 of that set are all day games.
It's most unusual, but that's the case.
Lillibridge has gone out deep to center, and he is a little comebacker. Now that is what you would like to see Brent work on, practice, extra BP, whatever.
And the best thing to do is to try to push it up the right side. It's a little easier, but also when you've got Omar Vizquel at third, you're not going to get a bunt and beat it out on him.
Very doubtful. Plus, you got Padilla, who is a good fielding pitcher.
He's a good athlete.
Padilla is one of those guys that you'd like to play hockey against him.
Well, he might not go along with the skates, but you could check him in the boards if you like.
Here's the 2-2. Elvis has got him. 1 out.
This Texas team came in 4th offensively. The pitching has been as you would expect, ERA-wise, down in the lower third. Right in the middle in defense. And yet you put it all together and it spells out a half game in first place.
Here's Carlos. He has hit 2 rockets. One right to the first baseman, Chris Davis, and the other high off the fence in left center field. That curveball just flips it up there. Nice play by Coxie. He'll make himself a new friend.
You see the Angels just a half game behind. The Mariners, who are really slumping lately, game and a half behind. And that Oakland team with a very young starting rotation falling into the cellar.
Got in on him. And this is out number 2. Well, if those Angels, as we were talking earlier, if those Angels get healthy, that's liable to be a blowout out there.
Well, they know how to win. They've done it before. They have a good, solid team. And this Texas team still has a lot of very young players and have yet to win as a team. So you have to take the first step. And they've done that. It's a question of staying consistent within their pitching staff. You can see really the effects of Mike Maddox on this staff in that they're much more aggressive early in the counts. They don't walk a whole lot of people, and that's one of the keys to pitching solid games.
That ball hit into right field. Nelson Cruz is there, and that'll do it. 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the 7th. It is still 5-1 bad guy.
And you can always catch a game on your computer with MLB.tv. It's the ultimate baseball experience featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit WhiteSox.com, where baseball is always on.
Pink lineup cards.
And so far, it's not working. But 9 outs to go.
A lot of time. Omar takes ball 1. He had a big RBI double and a run scored back in the 5th inning. He is 1 for 3. 1-1 the count. Atlanta beat the Phillies 4-2 at Citizens Bank. It's up high. Detroit, bottom of the 9th inning, and Cleveland leading the Indians 5-1. The ball hit well in the center field. Back.
Detroit's about to sweep that series, so apparently they were none too happy with the beating we put on them when they left town. They took it out on the Indians.
Roger Bossett was happy to see the Tigers lead.
Well, he and Jim Leland are excellent friends, as you know.
And here, Harlan Bird.
Roger gave them every chance to take as much batting practice as they could in the 2 minutes before he put the tarp on. It wasn't Roger's fault.
Roger, I love Roger. I wish I'd have given anything to have been standing right there. That's into left center field. Somebody got to close that gap. Brent is going to do it. Yes, he is. 2 down.
Well, Lillibridge has tremendous speed, and that time he got a very good jump. Bird catches it off the end of the bat, so that one doesn't have a whole lot of carry to it, but Lillibridge right there to make the play. And that's a lot of ground, and he caught up to it in a hurry.
So here's Blaylock. A homer, a walk, and a pop-up to left field. 2-0. St. Louis leading Cincinnati 7-5. That's in the bottom of the 7th. Cubs leading Milwaukee 4-2. That's in the bottom of the 5th at Miller Park. Mets 4, Pittsburgh 2. That's in the top of the 8th. Baltimore leading the Yankees 3-2 in the 7th at Oriole Park. Yes, he did.
Hank tries to check it up, but he didn't.
The 2-2. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Tilt.
That's an uh-oh. All right. That ball got out of here in a hurry.
It is 6-1. Second of the game. 9th of the season. Look at this breaking ball.
Well, this was a no-doubter. And that curveball just came up there spinning.
Cruz fouls it away. He's 0 for 2, but he did walk with the bases loaded to pick up his 21st RBI.
I think if I use my influence, Hawk, I can get you a number of little pieces of paper with the attendance on it. I know you've got a few already.
Here's the 2-strike. He gone, but the homer by Blaylock, a bullet. 7th inning stretch, not good.
Vicente Padilla has been throwing exceptionally well as we head into the bottom of the 7th inning. It'll be Tommy, Konerko, and Betterman if anybody gets on Ramirez. And you can see, sad news to this point, a 5-run deficit, just one lone hit for the Sox.
But we have 9 big outs. First pitch strike. Tommy has walked twice today.
And the bullpen up and going for these Texas Rangers. It's not because Padilla's been in any trouble.
We've only hit about 4 balls hard today. And the count 0-2. Carlos Quentin has 2 of them. A bullet right to the first baseman and a bullet off the wall of the double. The only hit we have back in the 4th inning. Konerko getting loose on deck. Lays off the Hyman.
Jason Jennings loosening up. At one point, the pride of the Colorado Rockies organization, had a great sinker, was a terrific hitter, and then he got hurt. Had a tough stint in Houston. Now he finds himself here in Texas.
Well, I've said it before many times. I believe it. The toughest position in sports to play is a pitcher.
Well, you only have one thing to sell, and if that goes,
and one pitch can do it. As he gets Tommy. So that is strikeout number 1 for Padilla.
well, this is what Bartolo Colon was trying to do most of the day, and that's throw that running fastball. Now, Jim thought it was up a little higher than he felt the strike zone stretched, but Brian Knight had other ideas. Lance Broadway throwing in the pen for the Sox.
I know playing quarterback in the NFL is a very tough position. You're going to get beat up, and you have always that chance of injury on every play. Some blitz or lineman going to take your knees apart. But pitching to me is still the toughest job in sports.
Well, there's another factor that people don't really factor in. I mean, quite obviously, you have your arm if it goes bad, or any sort of parts of your body.
That's popped up in left field. Murphy.
But they call the third base position the hot corner because you get a lot of rockets down there. But for the most part, you're farther than 90 feet away from the hitter. When a pitcher releases a baseball, he's 55 feet away from that hitter. And the ball comes back to you sometimes so hard, Hawk, that you can't see it. I've had blurs go by me on either side that I was fortunate I never got hit in the head with a line drive, but that's a factor when you throw a slider away from a right-hand hitter. It comes into your mind.
But again, yes, sure, that's you're not too far from a big, strong major league hitter. But the biggest thing to me is just what it takes and entails to, and then all of a sudden there's a soft line drive hit. Boy, that's quick. Wow. That's 9 in a row retired by Padilla. But I would not come out of the game, and the next at bat I took him right over the center field wall in St. Petersburg, over those palm trees out there.
Well, that was pretty good because not a whole lot of guys had got around on him. But boy, did he have awful control in spring training.
Oh yeah, he was a kid. He was a baby then. He was a one-pitch pitcher. Couldn't get his curveball over. So really, as there's a strike from Lance Broadway to David Murphy, who is 1 for 3, had an infield single that knocked in a run. But he to me still is just one of the miracles of the world. 27 years pitching in the big leagues. Come on.
Well, also he remained a power pitcher his entire career, and that was the most amazing part of it, because you see a lot of guys hang around a while, they just become a different pitcher.
You don't
Frank
see.
Cadena was a fireballer who became a finesser.
But not 27 years.
No, not 27 years.
The 1-2. Nolan came in throwing 100 and left throwing 100.
I was going to say, you could almost put that, talking in his prime, you could almost put that now. Still believe he could get it up there if he had to. Probably at least in the mid to high 80s.
I'm not going to bet against it. Let's foul back into the Ranger broadcast booth. Tom Grieve.
I'm sure Tom made a tremendous play on that
to save Josh Lewin,
who was under the counter.
The 1-2.
Lance on for just the 5th time. 0-1, ERA 4.50. He's had 6 innings of work.
All speed had him out in front, and he just pokes it into center field for the base hit. Good piece of hitting right there. That'll bring up Chris Davis, who's 1 for 3, cranked out his 8th homer. Ball that went straight up and just didn't come down until it was about 10 rows up in those bleachers in deep right center field.
Well, the Rangers have 3 of them today. This is a team that has now hit 53 home runs to 30 for the Sox.
We're not used to being in that position. Sox last year hit 235 home runs to lead the big leagues. That's the 7th year in 8 where we have hit 200 plus home runs. This might be another one right here. Humpback line drive. As they're going to wave Murphy around, he's going to score. I'm going to say 7-1. Well, that ball was just crushed by Davis.
Unfortunately, it went out there with a lot of topspin. Otherwise, it probably does go out of the ballpark. His 16th run driven in, his 2nd of the day. This ball right down the middle of the plate, and it's thigh high, exactly where a left-hander wants it. And Lillibridge, even with his great speed, can't catch up to it, but it's trapped too close to the wall as the ball go by him. The Rangers hitting the ball awfully hard today.
Dr. LaMacchia pops it up. And that's out number 1.
Wednesday, May 20th is Dog Day, presented by Hill Science Diet and Prescription Diet brand pet food. Along with the VCA Animal Hospitals, you can get your dog in game day shape. Visit PetFit.com and take the PetFit Challenge. Dog tickets, as you probably know, are sold out. For regular game tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit WhiteSox.com.
First pitch strike to Elvis Andrus, who's 1 for 3. And the count 0-2. Gap out there in left center. And that's up high. 1-2 the count.
Show you the defense as we panned around. I don't expect that Andrus is going to pull it.
He gone.
This is a good slider to get that youngster to expand his strike zone.
So here's Kinsler. He's 1 for 4. Had a big bunt single back in the 5th inning. I love the bunts.
Especially in the middle of a rally.
Boy, I'll tell you what, those things can. One of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long, long time was several years ago out in Anaheim. They had Eckstein and Sean Figgins. Not a good swing by Ian. Close ball game. At the bottom of the 7th, I think it was somewhere along there. 3 consecutive bunt hits to load the bases.
It's not surprising because their manager came from an organization that cherished those bunt hits.
Just broke our back.
It certainly is a lost art, but when you have a guy who's hit 9 home runs, you don't expect to see it. But we've seen it twice, and both very effectively in this series.
And that'll retire the side. But the single by Murphy, the double by Davis, we'll go to the bottom of the 8th trailing 7-1.
In the last 2 times, Padilla gave up 1 hit to Seattle, 1 hit today, this time in 7 innings.
And after the game, stay tuned for U.S. Cellular White Sox post-game live. You'll see all the highlights. Get Bill Melton's analysis, plus listen in on Ozzy's post-game remarks. Don't miss U.S. Cellular White Sox post-game live immediately following the game right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
There you look at the numbers on Jennings, who has been mighty tough on the left-handers.
Going away, ball 1 to Alexei, who is 0 for 2.
Before he hurt himself, he had one of the real good sinkers around. He was a prototypical pitcher that you would want in Colorado.
You know, we've talked about the Rangers and their history of not being able to have a solid pitching staff down there. Colorado, we haven't mentioned very often.
No.
It's very difficult out there in the Mile High City. That's off the end of the bat. You know, I've always thought that after watching it and playing there and then watching it over all these years at Fenway Park, I never played at Wrigley Field. Obviously, I've been over there a lot, but You got to have a different type mentality in those guys. You got to have a street fighter mentality. You cannot have that gentleman farmer, so to speak.
Well, you can't walk anybody ahead of the home run. You inevitably will give up. But Colorado's gotten a lot better recently, Hawk, with that humidor.
Well, when they've got the balls in that humidor, well, there are things that have gone down dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, you're actually getting games where it's 4-3, 4-2, games that a pitcher can live with because you can throw a fly ball and it actually stays in the park.
Well, in 1967, in that great pennant race, where the White Sox, the Tigers, the Twins, and the Red Sox were all within one game of each other, we were playing, and we'd come into Old Comiskey Park, and the baseballs were frozen. Eddie Stanky had them take them out of the freezer, and you'd hit your best bolt, because we had some thunder on that Red Sox team, and you'd hit your best bolt and go warning track.
Well, you know, I frown on that, Hawk, unless you freeze them for at least 2 or 3 days. Just that one frozen day is not enough. Sometimes it still carries too much.
One game I was playing first base, and Jim Lonborg was pitching. And bottom of the first inning, I saw Lonnie turn around, and there's a little fly ball in the right field. Cruz makes a long run to haul it in, and there's out number 2. But Lonnie turned his back to the plate, and he was shaking his hand out like this, and squeezing it back and forth, squeezing it back. I said, Lonnie, what's wrong? He said, man, my fingers are frozen. He said,
that's good pitching weather.
But the guys who have been successful in Fenway over the years have been guys, first of all, who pitched inside. Short of the porch, the more you got to pitch inside. The stronger the hitter, the more you got to pitch inside. The better the hitting team, the more you got to pitch inside. And that's what guys who had pretty good stuff, who stayed away in small ballparks like Fenway, and then Ferguson Jenkins pitching at Wrigley Field for all those years, winning 20 games. You have to pitch inside. If you didn't, you got murdered. There's a little looper, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So now Davis gets to it, gets it back in. So the single by Chris, he's now 1 for 4.
Well, you got to grind out each and every at bat, and this ball was inside, and the Rangers, at least for one, have shown Chris that they're going to pound him inside. So whether or not the Sox come away with a victory, Chris Getz might know something after this game that he didn't know before, and that is the advanced scouting report says that he's having trouble catching up inside. That's when you got to work on making sure that you hit that ball hard a few times and get them going away from you.
So here is Lillibridge. Well, this is the 6th and final game we're going to be playing these guys, and there's no question about it that Mike Maddox, it's very noticeable that he's getting these pitchers to pitch inside. Much more than Ranger pitchers that I can remember, with the exception of Padilla. Most of the Ranger pitchers, the MO about them would be they're going to try to get you away. That's no longer the case, as we have seen in these 6 games.
And they were afraid of their own ballpark, and you can't do that. Nolan Ryan was questioned this winter about the fact that they didn't add a whole lot of people. In free agency, they kind of backed off. And they said, well, I can't really agree with that, in that the most important free agent we added to this team was Mike Maddox. We got him as a free agent from Milwaukee. And so they said, how do you think it's going to affect the ball club? He said, you wait and see how it affects this ball club.
Yeah.
And we can see the start of a real good pitching coach, some very young pitchers, a couple of guys like Padilla who've been around for a while, but pitching staff is noticeably better.
The 2-1 pitch. Well, every now and then a pitching coach, I don't care how good they are, they will run up against individuals or collectively a staff that these guys just will not pitch inside.
Well, you can't get through to everyone.
No.
But that's the job of John Daniels, the very young general manager, along with Nolan Ryan. Those guys that don't buy into the program, you just ship them someplace else.
Big hack by Lillibridge.
That's a big hack. And when you throw inside with a hack like that, you're not going to catch up to it too often.
Koufax said it. It's one of the greatest statements you'll ever hear about pitching. Show me a guy that can't pitch inside, and I'll show you a loser. You always get exceptions, but that, in general, is the way it is. K-Line, one of the great Tiger Hall of Famers. Great statement about hitting. Show me a guy that can't be jammed, and I'll show you a bad hitter. Bad is not the adjective they use.
If you can't be jammed, that means you're covering only one portion of the plate.
That's right.
And if you're always looking for the ball in,
couldn't jam me.
Then they're going to slider your face off.
They couldn't jam me. I told you, I went all year one year without breaking a bat. 2 out, payoff pitch. And that's popped up into right center field. Bird, he's there. We will go to the 9th in bad shape.
You can receive discounted tickets for the game. Book a patio party today. Call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com. Octavio Dotel comes into this one. Started with Colon, then Richard, then Carrasco, Broadway, and now Dotel on for the 12th time. He has yet to give up a run.
Vizquel, that RBI double and a run scored back in the 5th. He is 1 for 4. Nice little pick. 1 pitch, 1 out. And that'll bring up to center fielder Marlon Byrd, who is 0 for 3 with a walk. Outfield around to the right. Two and one. in the mezzanine section. And once again, a reminder, Sox will board their charter after this game, head on out to Cleveland for a 3-game set. Off day on Thursday, then 4 in Toronto before returning home. Tomorrow, Gavin Floyd against Carl Pavano, and that game will be over WCIU TV channel 26. On Friday, Mark Burley against Jeremy Sowers. A couple of southpaws in that one. Right back here on Comcast Sportsnet on Sunday to be announced against Cliff Lee, and that game also right back here on Comcast Sportsnet. Two down.
Time now for Dodge drives of the game. Tank Blaylock with a high fastball the first time and a low fastball the second time. Actually a low breaking ball, and equally as effective. That's the Dodge drives of the game.
And he's cutting and slashing on first pitch. 7-9-0 for them. 1-2-1 for us. Dropped the hook on it. Got a good pitch to hit on a 0-2 count. Couldn't do anything with it.
Blaylock swing the bat real well today.
Yes, he is. Well, we got some guys I love to watch play. Of course, Michael Young is one of my favorites. Kinsler. He gone. Nice inning for Dotel right there. 1-2-3. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. We got a lot of work to do.
Open bar, in-seat food and beverage menu, premium reserve parking, and much more. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/Jim Beam Club. Now we'll take a look at C.J. Wilson as he comes into this one.
Big Bobby Lanigan's place, the Jim Beam Club.
It's a terrific place.
Carlos Quentin to face the southpaw. Takes first pitch strike. Carlos has one of our 2 hits, a bullet high off the wall and deep left center field.
At one point, Wilson was a closer of this team, but those days are gone. Francisco now has 9 saves for them and has yet to give up a run.
Tailing fastball right there, right off the end of the bat. 1 out. And very quickly checking down on the farm. Charlotte lost yesterday 7-6 at Rochester. Darrell Ward hit his second home run, and Josh Kroger, he's getting heated up. Cranked out another one, number 6, and he extended his hitting streak to 10 games. Birmingham, they won 6-4 at Montgomery. Birmingham is 20-8, first place.
You can understand it behind the red-hot bat of C.J. Relaford.
He's killing it down there. He was 2 for 4 with a triple, 2 RBIs. Aaron Pareda was the winner. He's 3-3 now. But Relaford hitting at .337, going on with his 5 homers, 19 ribbies. Gordon Beckham hitting at .303, couple of homers, 14 ribbies, leading the league in doubles with 14.
That's pretty impressive.
Two down. Jermaine now 0 for 3. He walked and has scored our only run. That was back in the second inning.
Jason Nix will get an opportunity to get an at bat. Jim Thome's day is done.
Jimmy, a couple of walks in this game. Well, I like this guy. This guy is a good looking player.
Well, that's going to be the challenge for Ozzie, is trying to find at bats for Nix, because he can certainly pick it wherever you put him.
It's 2-0. He's got a nice presence at the plate. He's got a nice presence out there, whether it be at second or short. It's just a dadgum shame he had that quad and that hamstring problem in spring training.
It took him right out of that competition for second.
It would have been hard for him to run Getz out of there.
No,
anyway.
I think with the progression of Chris Getz all the way up through the system and what he's shown to that point, that he was destined to win that job.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that Nix wouldn't have found a utility job, because he was swinging the bat real well when he went down.
You better believe he was. He was doing everything well.
Yeah. But your opportunities come, Hawk, sometimes when you don't expect them. But then when you get that opportunity, which you might not get too often, you have to take advantage of it. And Nix is in the process of trying to do that.
As there's ball 4. So that'll bring up Konerko. Pauly is 0 for 3. Into a 6-4-3 double play, but boy, he's called it. Nothing he can do about that. He is right on the button. Put into a forced play and then popped up to left field. Well, he's got a lot of movement, a lot of tailing action on that fastball. One to count. Gavin Floyd against Carl Pavano tomorrow night from Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. First of a 3-game series, and that game will be over WCIU channel 26. And that's inside. 2-1. Another good moving fastball, tailing away. So 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 9th for 25,844. Where it's been a beautiful day here in the beautiful city of Chicago, albeit a lot of clouds in the skies, but no rain.
Well, it turned into a gorgeous day. The only thing that's not real good looking is that scoreboard at this point. But Padilla was really tough today.
1 pitch.
And he has such a great curveball, and he didn't have it early. He stayed away from it. He threw 2, neither for strikes, and still got through the performance.
Good eye, good check. Close pitch, full count.
Johnson. Betterman in the on-deck circle, hoping that Paulie keeps it alive.
Change up, and this ball game is over. So the Sox throttled today by some good Texas pitching. 7-9-0 for them, 1-2-1 for us, and just too much out there. Just too much Padilla.
Padilla was just outstanding in his last 2 starts. He's given up 2 hits, so the Sox just were out everything today.